Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter, and this is the story of mine and Yuna's quest for perfection. That is, at least for our class of player. We don't consider ourselves, I guess we wouldn't say we're casual because we play the game a lot, so I guess we're kind of like semi-hardcore players, but we're not professional players. We're not speedrunners, we're not that good at the game. But we do make a good team and we do enjoy a good challenge, so after we got done with our naked challenge, which was no armor, no buddies, the all-mother challenge that I put out there, which we've done many times since, actually. It's been just really fun for us to do. And we've got it down to a pat now. We decided we wanted to try a new thing. So we started sort of like speedrunning, like how fast could we actually get the all-mother quest down? And pretty much every like weapon combination we use, whether it was like hunting horn, insect glaives, great swords, long swords, hammer, sword and shield, lance, like we tried everything, and we were basically always getting somewhere in between 7 and 8 minutes. And we wanted to bring that time down. So we spent some time trying to study the fight a little bit better, how to be a little bit more aggressive. And we started getting really good at it, and we put in a lot of time and effort. And eventually we got to a goal where we said we want to get under 6 minutes. So in this video, I'm going to be going over our strategies and also just the journey. So this is not the final run that we actually achieved under 6 minutes, but this is just a place for me to just talk while you have something going in the background. This was a run we were doing with, she was using bow, the Rampage bow, and I was using the Tigrex sword and shield, which I now know because I actually spent the time today to do the calculations. It's not exactly the optimal. Like, it can be the best, but it's not as predictable because it doesn't reach 100% affinity on the head. So it's actually probably more preferable to use the Rathian, or if you're going full Valstrax, then using the Rampage Sword and Shield with sort of like no, with blue sharpness, just the default, and just go for like attack 4 and affinity boost and non-elemental boost. But anyways, getting back to the hunt, we were playing around for a while with me doing Sword and Shield. And I discovered that because of the scaling of the status ailments on All-Mother, stunning her is really hard. I got it this time, but in order to get the stun on the initial roar, you need to have Slugger level 3, and you also need to eat for the feline KO. It's very tough, and if you're a little bit, like underneath the head, or a little bit too far and deep, it'll take your wire bugs, but it won't register the input. Like, you won't actually do the Metsu Shoryugeki. And it's super annoying. You have to be just in front of the tip of the mouth a little bit beforehand, and you have to time it so that you input it a little bit early. And then we decide, you know what, we're spending all this time for a KO. This is probably not optimal. This is another thing that I fell in, which is I thought it would be more optimal to just attack the tail instead of going onto the cannons. However, what we did discover was that this was not optimal. If you stay back and you get on the cannons and you aim properly, you're going to get, think about it, like 2 full clips is 100 shots, and if they're doing 18 a pop, that's anywhere from like 1500 to 1800 damage that you're going to be doing, which is probably more than you're going to be doing with your weapon. Depending, I mean, I guess the pros can go ahead and ignore the cannons because they're that good. We're not. So in the end, we found it much better to just sit back by the cannons and get the full 100 rounds off. As far as that revolving gate, as long as you stay really close, right as the middle thing blows up, the doors just kind of like open and you can get in there. So you'll see us do those in these videos here. And all of our records that were like in the 6 minute, like early 6 minute range, one thing in common was that we always had Magnamalo. Magnamalo is probably the best ride. I would say Kushala is the second best, and Teostra is just horrible. But if you notice, what we were doing here is we were just like, I was jumping on right away. Yuna was using bow, so she was able to get some really good hits and do a lot of damage against Narwa, where I have a lot of hard times figuring out how to get in damage during this phase, because I'm like using Sword and Shield or Lance or whatever, and I can't get in front because then I get hit by the monster's breath attacks. It's just been very hard for me. So we sort of decided to split it up, where I would ride the monster, she would just get in lots of damage. We'd head back here and hit the cannons, and and this is pretty much how we did our strategy for a while, and it was working pretty good. Um, I hate the fact that there's always one cannon. I think it's usually the one that's closest to the back left of the field where you generally will drop the monster, where the beam of lightning will actually hit you and you have to avoid it. That's super annoying. The explosion here, if you noticed, is very small. Unless you're actually inside the explosion blast, you actually don't get hit. So you can actually run inside the perimeter and just like wait for it to explode and you'll be totally fine. Here we just jump up. One of the things, if you are playing with a team, and we did this during our naked runs as well, is deciding a direction. Because the last thing you want is for you to both be at the same cannon. So we always decided that if we were like right next to each other, I'd go one direction, Yuna would go the other way. And we've always stuck to that. And it's worked out really well for us. Here I was just trying to go for KOs and stuff like that. Yuna just plugging damage into the stomach. And we had a really good run. She was able to use her paralysis bins to really just get us through and carry us through the final stage, which is by far the hardest part of the hunt. And we did really good. So this time was a total of 6 minutes and 11 seconds. So you see, we weren't quite there, but there was certainly some room for improvements. Now I'm going to walk you through just two things that we noticed before we got our record. I decided to switch over to Lance. It's a little cheesy, but I had played so much Sword and Shield and other weapons at this point. I just wanted to turn off my brain a little bit. The Sword and Shield has this spiral thrust, which is awesome. You have to aim it, which can be kind of a pain. But if you can aim it and you can get that final thrust in, you do some really good damage with the Tigrex Lance. So what we're doing here is we're just punishing Ibushi. This, I think, was our best run ever on Ibushi, I want to say, even though I had some mistakes. If you notice, I got trapped here in the body, and I wasn't able to get out to the head, or I missed a strike or something like that. So we're far from perfect. But Yuna has put in the paralysis bin, paralysis coating, and now we're aiming at the head, the chest, and we're just trying to break off the wind packets. And if you can break off all the wind, then you're going to get another down. And it's a way that you can sort of lock this monster down in one spot so that he can't move. So this was like our best run, even though there was some mistakes, especially from me. Like, look at that, that was horrible. But it just shows you if you build up your sets right, you can get some really good times. So that was like a minute and 16 seconds. So we also realized like trying to drink Mega Demon Juice was just taking too long. So we just did like a Might Seed, and then one of us did Demon Powder, and that was it. Well, the great thing, reason why I'm showing you this hunt, or this little clip here, is I want to show you that mistakes are good to make. Don't just quit out like you'll see some of the professionals because they know what they're doing. I panicked here. I got in a very bad position, my wire bugs weren't recharging, I couldn't figure out how to get damage in, and so I was incredibly late getting to Kushala. I thought it was over, so I decided to go in here. Yuna was saying she was getting great damage on the arms, and I got on the monster really late. But this turned out to be a very good strategy, at least for us, where we realized we cannot mimic the speedrunners where they just immediately get rid of Kushala, and they're just min-maxing the final phase, and they're just perfect runs. Like, the final phase is pretty difficult, I would say, for the average hunter. So what we realized was we're basically getting a free third round here. So the longer you delay riding the monster, the more damage that you, or both of you, if you're both using a weapon where you can damage them, you can just sit there pounding on Narwa, and this all counts towards like that final phase. And you get a nice little access to the cannons here, and as long as you're both hitting the arms, you should be able to get the down here and pretty much skip the entire third phase, which is crazy because that is the one that takes a lot of time. So this is where I throw, I think I hit it, I don't know, but I threw the water bug, and then we just went crazy on Narwa here. I also realized that even though we have flinch free on, I was actually running right into Yuna and she was getting stunned. I did not realize that the spiral thrust did that. So when we put it all together and we said, look, stay off the tail, like just always use the cannons, get your 1,500 to 1,800 damage, get your downs, try not to hit each other, obviously, even with flinch free, and really choose to delay the mount for the monster as long as you can, worked out really good for us. So this run, even though it was incredibly sloppy and we had some mistakes, watch this. So that's a bad mistake right there. Boom. So third round gone. So we realized, okay, we're finding a way to do an easier version of the third round by hitting it. So now this brings us to our final hunt that I want to show you guys. She is rocking the Rampage bow. I am using the T-Rex lance. This has been such a fun journey. It's been much harder for us to do this than to do the no armor run. That one was not that hard for us compared to this one. Like, doing this is just really hard because we're not speedrunners. So we're very, very proud that we were able to get under 6 minutes. And it's funny because our beginning here is sloppy, probably due to me. We are like, I want to say 14 seconds off our best intro here. So it was not the best intro, but we were still able to make and pull it together. So I guess why I'm showing this one, because there are some embarrassing mistakes that I did here, was one, I'm not a perfectionist. I can't play that well. Two, as long as you spec and you know the monsters and you know where to hit and you have a strategy, you can get pretty good times, even with mistakes. So I'm hoping that this kind of inspires you, because sometimes seeing runs from people who are like really good is really entertaining, but it's not something that you can really mimic, you know? So here I was trying to get back to the head. I got myself lost a little bit, so that was really bad. So this is where we lost like 10 seconds. I was just not hitting him. I was missing the head, the spiral thrust. Takes time to learn. Like, man, I just wasted like 10 seconds here, which tells me that we could probably get, I want to say like 5 minutes and 10 seconds, or perhaps even a sub 5 if we wanted to, but we're not going to try. But I always check the time here. The minute and a half, that's actually a really good time. So we're like, whatever, just keep going for it. We had so many times where we would accidentally knock Narwa out of her transformation, and then you just have to quit the quest because you can't win, because she never transforms. That literally I cannot touch the cannons. If I touch the cannons and I just shoot a little bit, it happens. So I leave the cannons to Yuna because she's much better, the machine gun or whatever. I'll pick up the water bug here for use later, get ready to do a guard. And now the idea here is she's using the paralysis bins, I'm calling them bins, but that's what we call them in Japanese. She's using paralysis coatings so she can get a down here. And she got the down, and now I'm just going to go crazy on any part that I see that is sparkling with energy. Because you're going to be able to do some really, really good damage to those parts. The idea here is just get a down, whether it's a KO or if it's a status, so you can wham, and then when she goes into this phase, it's time to get out and get to the cannons. Now, I should have been on the cannons this time, and I didn't. So this shows me that I can even bring my time down even more. But I decided to get ultra aggressive and try to make up for my mistake, but I didn't. So I would have been better off if I stood on the cannons shooting. I don't know why I didn't. So here we are, we're using demon powder before we both run in, and we jump in and we start attacking. I'm trying to keep in mind where she is, so I don't hit her, because I don't want to hit her out of it. And here we go, we've got the down. The down, if you're doing lance here and you're just spamming and using spiral, you do have to be careful of the air, because it will knock you up and then take you out of your sort of combo. But this was good. It allowed me to get in a lot of damage, allowed me not to get in her way. And it worked out pretty good, I think. So we had Kushala, which I don't mind. So the idea here, and this is so embarrassing, you guys are going to just like hate me in the comments here. Yuna is really good at this phase, and she's hitting the arm using the bow for Narwa. I was playing chicken. At this point, I was like, okay, because we didn't actually think we were going to get the record on this run. I said, let me see how long I can delay mounting the monster. And so I just kind of sat here like an idiot. I should have been attacking Narwa, but this was like for science, right? We were just, trying to figure out like how far can we push it. So I waited and waited, and once you see the monster get damage, you could still mount them. So we mounted on, And here I am, I'm just going to go and do the holding back and pressing A. We'll do the triple tornadoes. This generally takes a pretty good amount of time. If you can hit all 3 tornadoes, it does pretty decent damage. But most importantly, it keeps Narwa in one place. And this is really good for player 2, who is able to sort of take advantage of that situation. Unlike Teostra, who I can't stand, you actually get thrown off Kushella early enough that you can get in a few hits, which is nice. The idea here now was just get in the back so that I can get on the cannons. If you're too close, then the wind pressure is going to mess you up. I accidentally jumped on her cannon. So you can see here, like, we did not think that this was going to be a record run. There was way too many mistakes. I couldn't get up there, and I said, you know what, I got to redeem myself. So I went ultra aggressive here. And I went for the tip of the tail. And I got in some really good hits. So I think I made up for the fact that I butchered the cannons. But here we are, just sitting outside. I throw my Mud Beetle here so we can get it nice and weak. Run on in, and then just go crazy. Here I am again, just trying to go a little diagonal. I don't want to flinch Yuna out of her hits, because she's also ranking up some really good damage as well. And because we put all of our learnings together, watch what happens. I'm avoiding that little, like, wind right there. With some really good timing and some good luck and just some good strategy and teamwork. And of course, lots of damage from Yuna as well. We were able to do it under 6 minutes. 5 minutes and 43 seconds with plenty of room for improvement. We are satisfied. We are very proud of ourselves. Anyways, I just wanted to share this because it was so fun for us to try this. And I just wanted to show you some tips and just talk about the journey a little bit and some of the strategies that we went through. Because we're on cloud 9 right now. As far as equipment, I'm using the Tigrex Lance. I've got a really good charm of Critical Eye 3 with a 2-in-1 slot. So I'm just packing in as much power as I can pretty much. And just having one level of Wirebug Whisper made all the difference. I was able to use the Spiral Thrust so many times, it was crazy. As far as Yuna's concerned, she's using kind of a template, well, I guess you would say meta set for the Rampage Bow. She's using Dragon and Pierce. And she's got all the good skills. The only thing that's really troublesome here is that with the Valstrax Mail and Braces, if you get under 80%, you get Dragon Blight, which means that your paralysis coatings won't work anymore. So you have to be very careful about that. Anyways, this was our video and journey. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys try out the All-Mother Challenge if you haven't already. I'll have a link in the description down below. Until next time, happy hunting.